Okay, I'm going to try to go over a few things about layers for some people I've noticed who've been having problems with layers on the Daisy Trail website. I've loaded a kit that's from Serif on the Daisy Trail site. I'm not sure which one it is, it doesn't really matter. First off, I want you to notice over here you've got your layers tab up and you've got your background layer and layer 1. And both of those are visible right here. If you click the eyeball, it will show or hide what is on that layer. Excuse me. So I'm just going to drag over a background. Real simple, shows up on your background layer, and if you click on this little plus sign next to it, you can actually click and select that background and resize it and move it on your background layer. It doesn't have to stay fixed, just as a side note. Another thing you can do is add materials to your background layer. If you come over here to your materials tab, you can grab and drop a material over here, and that's how you can make a layered background, is by actually working in your background layer and adding materials and even embellishments if you want. That way when you go back to your, I'm just putting stuff on here, it's nothing special. That way when you go to your layer 1 and start adding items like photos, let me add a couple here, they will, then when you're working with your photos, they're not going to move around at all. So let's just pick this one here. So you can work with your photo, but you can't, because these items are on your background layer, you can't touch them. You'd have to go over here and click on your background layer here and move it. Now, another feature is, within each layer, everything is stacked. There's like layers inside layers sort of thing. So you've got this bitmap right here, it's called a bitmap, it's this little bus sign, and you can move it around. You can also change its layer within by dragging and dropping it to between a couple other items, like this. You see I'm clicking on it with my left click and moving it to where I want it. Another thing that you can do with that feature is you can drag it and actually put it on your layer where your photos or where you're actually working. You can move it to any layer you want by dragging and dropping within your layers window over here. So now if you add a mask layer, it's going to go, now what happens with the mask layer is it masks out everything that is in the main layer below it, not what's layered on. Okay, so it's like this is layer 1, this is your mask layer. So anything in layer 1 which is just below layer 2 will be masked out. Now if you move layer 2 down to between layer 1 and the background, it's going to mask out the background and not layer 1. But we'll move it back up because let's just say we're going to mask out that photo. So what we can do on this layer with the mask is we'll get a brush and we'll do something nifty. And we'll make it kind of big. And let's see if we can get some of that photo back up here. Nope, that's not going to work. Now if you click this little mask button here, see it's a little comedy tragedy mask, that turns off that masking layer and shows you what's beneath it. So that's how you can turn that off and turn it on. Now so you can see where it's coming through here just a little bit where I did the brush. So we can turn that off for now. That way we can see what's underneath. And let's pick a different brush. Let's pick a brush that's... Here, let's try this one instead. And we'll just brush it in a little. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Alright, and then we'll go back to layers over here. And we'll turn our mask back on and see there's what's underneath it. Now, the problem Joyce is having is that all of her embellishments are on layer 1. So anything that doesn't have the mask layer portion, this portion on it, over it, is not showing through. And there's two different ways you can deal with that. First off, you can either move them to your background layer like they are here, or you can add another layer. Now when you click on the plus with the mask, that adds a masking layer obviously. When you click on the plus with just the plain plus, it just adds another layer. And your layers always go on top. Now keep in mind you can move these layers wherever you want. So you could move it down here behind layer 1, and because your masking layer only goes to the next layer down, you could move your embellishments to this layer and then they will show. Now let me show you here. So I moved these two embellishments, the cup and the sign, to layer 3, which is actually beneath layer 1. I'll add some more embellishments. Now I'm going to add them to layer 1 and show you what happens. If I put this on layer 1, it disappears because it's not within the masking area. But if I take it and I move it down to layer 3, now if you click on this little plus, it'll show you the items in that layer, then you can see it shows through. And in order to grab it, see I've still got layer 1 selected. In order to grab it, you want to click on layer 3 and then you're able to select that and move it around on your page. So I hope this gives you a little idea of how layers work and how you can work with layers. I find the dragging and the dropping much easier than moving up and down. This this little thing over here helps me keep track of what's where in what order. So if I know that I need to put, like, I know I want to put this door thing behind the sign instead of on top of the sign, I can see over here the sign is here, and I just drag it down underneath that sign and I know it will be behind the sign. And I don't have to know how many pieces are in between them or anything like that. So hopefully this will help you all, and if you have any questions, you can contact me on Daisy Trail or at Katie Wiseman, KatyWiseman @gmail.com. Thank you.